Good evening, it's Brother Roe here, coming to you from the Cannes Film Festival, and it's time to review The Substance. Distinguishing itself from the rest of the Cannes competition, this film is actually a horror movie, and it's not like maybe this is a little bit horror. It is a genre film to the bone, and it's also a comedy, so that alone makes it quite refreshing to see in the lineup. But I'm just so excited to tell you how much I needed this film at this point in the festival. It is perhaps the first film I can say that I loved, and it has gotten the audience more rowdy than any other film that we've seen so far. In a science fiction-y plot, The Substance is about an aging actress who purchases a product called The Substance, which is supposed to help her become more young. And that's all I'll say. I'm really not giving away even the basic plot to it. And I'm intentionally not going to give you any details because I think you have the right to go in and see this movie completely blind, just like the Cannes audience did, and be completely blown away, have your expectations obliterated. There's a clip that's circulating where you can get like a little taste. It's like basically a teaser. And that clip is totally safe to watch. You know, I would recommend that. But even in advance, I would not recommend watching any trailers because I just fear that they're going to give away something really fascinating and that's going to surprise you. So let's talk about the direction here, because Caroline Farragut directed the shit out of this film. Every shot and every frame feels distinctly like it's part of the movie's style. So the reason I'm so excited about this movie is because I've not seen anything like this in a long fucking time, or even ever. I'm happy, like I'm a happy camper when a film goes to like 11 out of 10 where you're like, wow, that was just insane, that was crazy, like loved where it went. But it's rare that a film can go further than I thought it could go in terms of how insane it would get. Even with Megalopolis, when people say, oh my god, that film's so insane, I don't always feel in agreement with like, oh, that level of insanity was reached here. This film is a 22 out of 10. A 22, ladies and gentlemen, a score that you've never seen in terms of how much it cranks up the batshit level of insanity. An absolute utter chaos that this film crescendos to. What a grand finale. It's rare for a horror film to be justifiably 2 hours and 20 minutes like this film is. And there are some scenes in the middle where I thought it went on a little bit longer. It felt like we just saw that scene but in a different way. But the runtime seems to allow for this finale to just go on and get to the next level and the next level and the next level of pure pandemonium. There were so many like what the fuck screams from the audience and howls of laughter. And you can tell even at the hour and a half mark, people didn't think it was going to go to the level that it does. And so the excitement and the rowdiness in the crowd just keeps amping up. And by the end, the audience in unison is like riding this adrenaline blood-soaked high. And I absolutely wouldn't say these are cheap thrills. Like the direction of this film is absolutely excellent. And it's really in the way that the film is shot that extracts the maximal level of censorious pleasure and joy and pure terror as well from the audience. There's an unwillingness from the direction to conform to reality, and everything has this like hyper real quality, ranging from, you know, just the way the performances are done in a slightly over the top manner to the colors that are brought to just about their peak level of saturation, and scenes that are presented through extreme close-ups only, and editing that seems to like haphazardly piece together moments as the character's mind seems to fracture as this break from reality is happening. Even while the actual events on screen may have taken until the third act to reach their peak level of insanity, the sound was going hard the entire time. There's a scene in the beginning when Dennis Quaid is eating shrimp, and the way he's tearing the shells with his teeth and spitting out the shrimp, he's this voracious, all-consuming pig. The sound is really there to maneuver us through the story in a highly psychological fashion. I think it's some of the best sound work we're going to see all year. The score is also going extremely hard with this like dark techno, and it's really impossible to imagine how this film would have worked if it didn't utilize the sound in the score so effectively. I was reminded of Requiem for a Dream in many ways, just based on how maximalist the filmmaking is. Camera work here is also stunning. There's a lot of extreme wide angle tracking shots like close to the ground, many bird's eye view shots, and again like some extreme close-ups that are just really beautifully done. Even though this film is art house in its sensibilities, it is not one that wants the audience to be left behind in any way whatsoever. And in that sense, I could even call it pop entertainment. Maybe even to a fault, the film does not want you to be out of sync with its ideas. I don't even think the ideas are that deep here. The kind of stuff it wants to say about how women's bodies are perceived within the media industry and the effect that that has on women themselves is really, really obvious. Like, you're not gonna miss it. But the film goes a step further to like repeat the lines that it thinks are important to getting you to that message. And I personally didn't need that level of heavy-handedness. And if anything, I would have liked the film to be a little bit more interesting with its ideas. But all is forgiven with the third act because I think the film decided that what it had going for it was just the visceral and psychological connection it has with the audience. I also love the production design here because I didn't think too much about it when I was watching, but in retrospect, when I try to piece together the sets, something about them is very psychological. They don't comport with normal reality. Like, there are hallways that just wouldn't exist in real life. Let's talk about performances here because I'm really excited about 3 of them. Demi Moore, many people have pointed out already that she is excellent in this film, and she's very willing to go to that level of pure mania. She also has some scenes, especially when she's wrestling with herself in the mirror, where I think it's her best work in the movie. And I almost would have liked a couple more scenes that were just holding on her face in a close-up as she's reckoning with the consequences of her actions. I also love what Margaret Qualley brought here with her diva persona. And then Dennis Quaid plays like an unsavory Hollywood producer, and he completely eats up this role and owns it. And I have a plea for Hollywood. Can we get him to be really weird in more movies? I would like that, thank you. Makeup goes so fucking hard in this movie that I would like this to receive an Oscar nomination. And I feel like there's maybe a possibility. The only precedent I found is really like The Fly. Because yes, sometimes horror movies are nominated for makeup, but it's really not often, and oftentimes it's like a werewolf or a vampire movie. And this is like pure gore and body horror. I haven't mentioned it, but the body horror in this film is just one of the most pleasurable parts of it. It's absolutely spectacularly done. I'm hoping that it creates a resurgence in the interest in seeing body horror in more films. And it's all done completely practically. If there is any CGI, it's totally seamless, but the effects are just stunning. And you might imagine for a film so chaotic that it has some balls to the wall editing work, and it absolutely does. Especially in the end, the editor just seemed to have a field day, assembling cuts in like rapid succession with fades and double exposures. Really just marvelous direction, marvelous filmmaking. If you want to call the story a bit superficial, that's fine, I don't really care. But this film knows what it has going for it. It's just so fun, campy, and gory, and gives the audience an adrenaline shot that they probably were not expecting. I am still coming down from the high on this film, and I can't wait to talk to more people about it, so we can all rejoice in the wonder and the beauty and the what the fuck of what we have seen. So, you know, this is probably one of the most entertaining films I have ever seen, period. And I'm gonna highly recommend this to absolutely everybody in my life. I want this film to be huge. I don't know what movie will do with it distributing it. It feels like a film that should belong to Neon or A24. But good on Mubi. I mean, they have something incredibly special. I really hope they go hard with like a theatrical release. I give this film a 9 out of 10. It'll be an injustice if this is not nominated for makeup. Like, it should win. Should win makeup, fuck you. I don't think it's gonna happen for awards, but I would personally nominate it for editing, sound, makeup, director, picture. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Will you bring your parents and your grandparents to see this movie?